Welcome to the Rooted Word, where we study the Bible in depth. I analyze it for you and I restore it in English to what it says in the original language. In many places, there are many significant differences, and you need to know about these. This channel is definitely focusing on those. Not only that, but that's what we're doing today. Our video today is on Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 3 through 6. And I'm going to reveal a secret about prayer and how to get your prayers answered. First, let's talk about the ministry here for just a brief minute. I am here in Ukraine ministering the gospel of Jesus to the Ukrainians in a critical time in their history where they are under immense pressure, stresses as a people, and the harvest is ripe. I depend on your donations while I'm here to support me. As I say in my videos, you are the hands and the feet of Jesus to me, as Paul's supporters were to him. And as he was the hands and feet of Jesus to the places where he ministered, I am the hands and the feet of Jesus to the Ukrainians. So, step up and donate to the ministry. There is a link in the description down below, and please consider a monthly donation because I depend on that regularity in order to meet my finances for food and rent and medical and clothing and ministry. Those are the 5 things that those finances are for, and I need it because I spend all my time ministering the gospel to the Ukrainians, translating from the oldest Bible in the world with years of education and experience for you, the building up of the body of Christ across the world, and making these videos not only on that text, but also on important topics for you as a Christian in your daily life. Make your donation. Be the hands and the feet of Jesus to me. Now on with the lesson. So today we've got a fresh translation of Ecclesiastes 5, 3 through 6. And I told you I'm going to reveal to you a secret about how to get your prayers answered. Now, as you know, we first usually go through the text. So that's what I'm going to do today. I will try to show that here on the screen. It is the Common English edition. There are 2 editions of the Rooted Word Bible that are being developed. Common English edition is the final version for you to read on a daily basis. The Precise English edition is what is developed straight from the Greek. And it's for you who do not know Greek or may be weak in Greek, that gets you the closest to the Greek in English and still be English. So you can study that. That's like a study Bible. And then the Common English edition is what you read on a daily basis. More of a devotional Bible to listen to the Lord and read it in more of a native sound for English. And it is tested against the audio sound of the text. So we listen for the clarity in the hearing of it, more than the reading. Here it is. I'm going to read the text. In the same way as you may yourself wishfully pray a prayer to God, you may not hesitate to give from what is in your power to give for the sake of the prayer. Thoughtless thinking does not possess any determination. Therefore, in the case that you may yourself wishfully pray for whatever things, you must give a good thing from what is in your power to give. You may not yourself just wishfully pray for the thing, else you may yourself wishfully pray for the thing and not give a good thing from what is in your power to give. You may not use your mouth to disinherit yourself through sin because of your flesh. And you may not lay forth in words before God's visage that this is because of ignorance, so that God may not be angered directly by your tone and may thoroughly wither the works of your hands. Because of an abundance of dreams and of chewing things up into uselessness and of many laid forth words, because you must fear God. Now, you may be saying to yourself, I've never heard any Bible text that sounds like that. Well, we're not trying to make it sound like other Bible texts. That's the difference. Because the other Bible texts have gone through this machinery of smoothing things out and flattening things out so you lose all the details. And when you lose those details, you don't know exactly what God means. But when you keep the details, this is what it sounds like. This is what it sounds like. This is precisely what it says in the Greek. So you know what the Greek says. So let's talk about this a little bit. Because if you read in your translations, you'll find that they translate this word that's for prayer, vows. That's right. That's incorrect. There's a different word for vow, which you will find in Matthew 5. That's a different word, and that means vow. That is a legal obligation. This is not a vow. This is a prayer, something that you are asking God for and hoping for. And they have mistranslated this on purpose, most likely trying to align it with the Masoretic text of the Hebrews that came 1,200 years after this and 900 years after Christ. So let's stick with this because this is the oldest text that we have. In the same way as you may yourself wishfully pray a prayer to God, you may not hesitate to give from what is in your power to give for the sake of the prayer. All right, now, what is that saying? All right, so you may think that praying that prayer is so crucial so that God may answer and help you. Well, in this same way that you think that that is so crucial in order to get that help, it says here, in that same way of urgency, that same urgency prevents you from hesitating to give from what is in your power to give. It doesn't say to whom or what. For the sake of the prayer. If you're unwilling to give from what you have that's in your power to give during the time that you are asking God in prayer, which is not just one time in a few minutes. If you're serious about a prayer, you're asking Him every night, every day, throughout the day. We're going to find out that you must be thinking about it all day long. It says so here. During this time, you must be willing to give from what is in your power to give. Whether it's helping someone who's in need of help, whether it's some money to help someone who's in need, whether it's food or clothing, whatever it is that's in your power to give, to not withhold. Because you're expecting the Father in heaven to not withhold from you. So how can you withhold from others? That's the reasoning. And that lines up exactly with Jesus. Right? He says, at the end of the Lord's Prayer, He says, and if you do not forgive others, your Father in heaven will not forgive you. So then it goes on. So that's for the sake of the prayer. In other words, your prayer will not be answered if you are not in this state of being willing to give from what is in your power to give during the time that you're praying for this. You must do that if you expect your prayer to be answered. Okay? It's not the only thing that determines whether your prayer is answered. But if that's not there, your prayer will not be answered. Next thing. Thoughtless thinking does not possess any determination. So that sounds deep. It is deep. If you're going around in your daily processes, using your mind, like thinking, because you have to think in order to do things, right? In order to go places, in order to function. But thinking is not the same as thoughts. Thought is more deliberate. Thinking is more passive. Thoughts possess determination. But thinking that is thoughtless does not possess any determination. Determination, willpower. To drive a plan to completion. Now, why did they say that here? Why does God put that here? We just said that you're not to hesitate, you're to treat it as urgent as the prayer, the giving off from what is in your power to give. But now He's adding on to this, that if you are determined for your prayer to be answered, You must, through your day of thinking to do things, not be thoughtless about it. You must keep this intentionally in your mind as your goal. What it is that you want God to give you. Why am I saying it that way? Because that's how Jesus put it in the Greek. May it be caused to be to you in synchronicity with your faith. So the way that you are having faith, Jesus says, may it cause itself, is what it is in the middle voice. May it cause itself to be to you in the same way. We got the same thing here, in the same way. In synchronicity with, actually. So, you got that same concept. Well, you must, just like the woman who was bleeding and heard about Jesus, while she's doing her things to function, she's keeping her mind focused on that. And she's coming there to touch the hem of his garment because she has faith that if she just touches it, she will be healed. And what does Jesus say? Your faith has healed you. You say, but God healed her. Yes, God did heal her through Jesus. Yes. But it was her faith that healed her according to Jesus. Now, you can argue with Jesus if you want, but I don't think I'd do that if I were you. What you think is right is not higher than what Jesus says is right. Next thing. Therefore, in the case that you may yourself wishfully pray for whatever things, you must give a good thing from what is in your power to give. So again, this comes back to that first part. So sandwiched between is the thoughtless thinking does not possess any determination. Verse 4. You may not yourself just wishfully pray for the thing, else you may yourself wishfully pray for the thing and not give a good thing from what is in your power to give. Again, it's pushing that home, that you're not to just wishfully pray for the thing. You must not neglect giving a good thing from what is in your power to give. And again, it uses something ambiguous, a good thing. It doesn't say what that good thing is. It's according to what is in your power to give as to what that good thing is and what people need. Verse 5. You may not use your mouth to disinherit yourself through sin because of your flesh. Aha, what is that? Well, this is the verb to sin. And the verb to sin comes from the meaning of losing your inheritance, your allotment in the kingdom of God. So when you sin, you lose your allotment in the kingdom of God. That's the concept, and they're not missing the mark. I've disproved that with original lexical research in the corpus of the Greek texts, not only biblical even, but also going back into the classical Greek texts. But that's been disproven. And it's based on the culture. The culture is not at all focused on the technical achievement of hitting a mark. It's completely focused on honor and reward, the product of glory. And so if you fail to acquire that glory, you fail to acquire that reward, that allotment. It's about that. It's not about missing the mark. That's a modern interpretation, misinterpretation. And so to sin does not mean to miss the mark. It means to become without your allotment. And it says because of your flesh. Okay? You may not use your mouth to disinherit yourself through sin because of your flesh. Why is it talking about this in the context of prayer? Because you can sabotage your own prayer with this. Because of this. And you must control your mouth. Control that tongue, because you've used that tongue to beg God to do something for you. Then you're turning around and using that tongue from your flesh to commit sin. An action that you know disinherits you. You may not use your mouth to disinherit yourself through sin because of your flesh, and you may not lay forth in words before God's visage, his face, his appearance, his presence, that this is because of ignorance. If you end up using your mouth to sin because of your flesh, you are not allowed to come before God and say, oh, I didn't know any better. Oh, I was just ignorant. I didn't know any better. It's saying you may not. You may not lay forth words before God's visage that this is because of ignorance, that you used your mouth to disinherit yourself through sin from your flesh. Then it says what happens if you do. If you do lay forth words from your mouth to disinherit yourself through sin because of your flesh, and then you lay forth words in God's visage, his presence, that this is because you are ignorant, then God will be angry. He'll be angered at you directly by your tone and may thoroughly wither the works of your hands. Everything you do will wither. You will not be able to get ahead. You will not be able to be successful. You will not be able to achieve things. Why? Everywhere you turn and you lay your hand to something, it withers. It doesn't grow. It doesn't increase. There's no abundance. Because of this, you're claiming ignorance when there was no ignorance on your part. And you carelessly used your mouth as a fool to disinherit yourself through sin from your flesh. You must beg God's forgiveness and get restored. But it goes further than that. It's not finished. I know in your versions it probably puts a period there after that. It's not finished. The Greek goes on. So that God may not be angered directly by your tone and may thoroughly wither the works of your hands because of an abundance of dreams and of chewing things up into uselessness and of many laid forth words. Hear this very clearly, because many Christians want to try to reverse or invert what they've done and justify it by all these dreams they've had. It must be God, because I had these dreams. They reinforce, what I want, even though you used your mouth to disinherit yourself through sin. Even though you then went in the presence of God and said, oh God, I was ignorant. And you made God angry, and he withers everything you touch. And yet you still use dreams. Dreams. I had 5 dreams. I had 6 dreams, and they all justify me. And yet you sit around chewing things up into uselessness. Guys, you're watching and playing video games all day long. 2 hours, 3 hours. You're chewing things up into uselessness. Or things that are given to you. You're neglecting the important things, and you're using your time to do stupid, useless things like scrolling through YouTube. Watching this video is not a stupid, useless thing, but scrolling through YouTube is. Many laid forth words. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Non-stop talking to people. Blah, 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 blah. And not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Using your time wisely. Keeping your thoughts focused while you're thinking through your day and acting. Keeping those thoughts focused on what you're praying and asking God for. And doing what needs to be done. Keeping that focused. And then it finishes this passage with a declarative, emphatic statement. Because you must fear God. Do you want your prayer answered? You must fear God. How do I fear God? Read the passage. It tells you how to fear God. Stop speaking foolishly and sinning and disinheriting yourself because of your flesh. Because you're following every little inkling of your flesh. Because in American culture, we're taught, oh, follow your heart. And, oh, Jesus talks to me all the time. And God always nudges me here and nudges me there. So every little feeling I have in my body is from God. You're a liar. You're a liar. And when you use your mouth to sin, you're going to stand before God and say, oh, I didn't know any better. Oh, I was ignorant. This is not fear of God. It's not fear of God. When you're praying and you're waiting for God to do this, and you're not willing to give off from what's in your power to give, a good thing, you don't fear God. And you're not serious about your prayer. And you're going about your day thinking like you normally do to do what you need to do to buy groceries and drive the car and talk to people and go home and go to work and do your work. But you're not keeping your thoughts on that prayer throughout the day, all day, every day, until God answers. This passage is one of the richest passages on the secrets of prayer. I want you to go back and watch the video again, and I want you to really think hard about it, write down notes, go reread it again after 2 or 3 days. And I want you to take it to God and say, God, teach me. Teach me how to do this so that I am fearing you and my prayers are being answered. And may the Lord bless you as you seek him with all your heart.